Welcome to something that is a little bit different for us here at West Michigan Weather. Today we're going to be live streaming from West Michigan Weather headquarters. We'll talk about why here in a second. I do want to just quickly highlight a few things before I jump into the reason for this. Let me know how the audio is in the chat. We are currently watching a couple of different areas. The first one is this area. Let me pause this radar loop here. First area is, there we go. First area is this little conglomeration of light rain showers. One area of interest with this, however, is a little bit to the southwest of Kenosha and Racine, Wisconsin, southwest of the Milwaukee area, where we do have some higher reflectivity values as well as some lightning. The second area we're watching, and perhaps most notably, is going to be this conglomeration of showers and thunderstorms that is transitioning to the east towards Ludington, towards Manistee and points north, so anywhere from about Fremont to Manistee and Cadillac. You guys can expect some showers and embedded thunderstorms in the next 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll take a look at those here in a minute as well. The last area we're watching is going to be this mess up here. And so we have what I'll call a line of showers and thunderstorms that are extending from Wisconsin Rapids up towards the UP and Beaver Island out here over the lake. We do have a level 1 out of 5 risk in place across much of lower Michigan this evening. We'll go ahead and highlight that here. So anywhere in this darker green color here is the level 1 out of 5 risk, and that extends from about South Haven or so, and then up to the northeast towards Midland, and then up to encompass much of the western half of the Gaylord, the National Weather Service in Gaylord County warning area, which is out of our coverage area, but much of our northwestern coverage area from Manistee over to Cadillac and then down to central Kent County, east central Kent County, and then back towards South Haven is under that marginal risk for severe weather this evening. So with that out of the way, we will take a quick look at these storms from a couple of different radar sites, as these are the areas of most concern. Again, we're going to be looking at these storms impacting the Ludington Lakeshore area in about 45 minutes to maybe an hour at most. Let me get a little bit of a better forecast cone on that to include some cities. So Ludington in 52 minutes, Sugar Grove in 65 minutes. And then points east of there, like Free Soil, in about an hour and 10 minutes. So you guys up here in Mason County and Lake County, you guys are going to be seeing those storms in the next hour or so. Take a look at the Grand Rapids radar and see what that is showing. So that is also showing an increased area of reflectivity here just to the due west of Ludington, and as you can see, that continues to transition off to the east rather slowly, but nonetheless they're not necessarily weakening as much as we thought they would. They were severe warned over here, and interestingly enough, there is no special marine warning out. However, the National Weather Service in Milwaukee and the National Weather Service in Green Bay have put a marine weather statement out for gusty winds up to 30 knots, which would equate to about 35 or 40 miles per hour on land if they maintain their strength. So again, points south of Manistee, you guys should be looking at some gusty winds here in the next 30 minutes to an hour, perhaps reaching that 40-45 mile per hour mark. Audio could be boosted. All right. Let me take care of that a second. On. Might help with that as well. I just noticed my microphone was not turned towards me. Is that better, Riley? Oops, sorry guys. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Knocking over everything. So again, we're going to keep an eye on this conglomeration of showers and storms, this line of storms, as it transitions over to the area. I'm not seeing anything immediately concerning in terms of large hail or damaging wind potential in terms of severe criteria, but we could definitely see some gusty winds and perhaps some small hail, especially in this area here, of increased reflectivity there. And again, with velocity, we're quite far away from the radar, so we're not getting the best picture of this storm as of yet, but again, not seeing anything immediately concerning there, and we definitely have some increased reflectivity there. Hydrometer classification is calling this hail here, so I will definitely be watching this. So while we, I'll go back to the single pane radar. What time for the Freeport area? So anywhere along the West Michigan shoreline, south of Manistee, and north of Muskegon, you guys are looking at about the next hour or so. But as you can see, these are pretty isolated in nature, scattered in nature. So not everywhere through here is going to see rain, especially if you're north of Fremont. So, but we are watching additional convection developing in this area as well. So I'm going to put this in loop, and we're just going to chat about why we're doing this. This is something new for us here at West Michigan Weather, and to be honest, it's just something I'm trying. We've talked about doing live Doppler radar discussion. Of course, Tom, no problem. We've talked about doing live Doppler radar discussion well before the events that transpired over the last week. So I want to stress that the events that transpired over the last week, specifically referencing the unplanned tornado intercept by myself on Tuesday, May 7th, this has nothing to do with no longer chasing or anything like that. We have no definitive plans whatsoever to stop chasing storms out in the field. We've been talking with several people we respect in our community, other storm chasers, meteorologists, as well as members of the general community. And while Owen and I have not had a chance to really sit down and talk about the future of West Michigan weather, I don't want there to be confusion that this is going to be the new norm for us. The idea behind this type of setup is going to be that we are tracking severe weather potential on events like this where we don't really feel there's a need for us to go drive, let's say go drive to Ludington to intercept these storms, because again, the threat for severe weather is so very low this evening. We'd rather just save the gas money. As you all know, gas is ridiculous right now. We'd rather just sit at home at the West Michigan Weather Headquarters and just provide a general overview of what's happening. We'll keep people up to date, obviously, by our live stream here, and we'll be talking about what we're seeing on radar. We'll be answering community questions as we have already. So if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. But we have no plans to stop chasing as of now. If anything, the phrase from Dr. Reed Timmer, who is the meteorologist and the big storm chaser on the Discovery series, Storm Chasers from several years ago, his saying is never stop chasing. And so that's kind of where I keep going back to. Of course, Owen and I have a lot to talk about. We've been playing phone tag with each other. We both have very busy work schedules and very busy lives, as you can imagine. So We haven't really gotten a chance to talk since Tuesday, believe it or not, but that will certainly be happening towards the middle of this week when we both have some time off of work. So we'll be providing more updates to the community over the next couple of weeks. And for now, we're just going to settle in and watch these storms. Again, we do have a marginal risk for severe weather outlined by the Storm Prediction Center here across much of the area, across much of the northwestern coverage area, I should say, from Manistee to Cadillac down towards Mount Pleasant. It does include the city of Grand Rapids and stops just shy of South Haven, Michigan. So Holland, Grand Haven, Muskegon, Fremont, Big Rapids, Grand Rapids, all of you guys are under marginal risk for severe weather this evening. I think that the potential for severe weather is rather low for sure, but we are going to be watching this nonetheless in the event that we do have an isolated severe storm come out of this. So of course, if we at some point get a severe thunderstorm, we'll definitely be focusing on that. If you guys have reports from your area, go ahead and throw them in the comments or send them to this link that I'll post in the comments right now so that we can get those relayed to the rest of the community as well as provide them to the Weather Service as needed. So I'll throw this in the comments really quickly for you guys. There is the link. So we're just going to kind of hang out. Like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. It can be about anything. When storms are going to impact your area, etc. Let's talk about how these storms might impact the chances for viewing Aurora Borealis this evening, or what's more commonly known as the Northern Lights. The thunderstorms, honestly, would probably not prevent viewing all that much. Again, they're pretty widely scattered in nature. There are some groups or some clusters of cells that could block out chances for viewing over an area by about 90% probably, but they're moving decently fast. They're not going to hover over the same area. They're moving east at 35 to 40 miles an hour. The problem is that, and let's pull up the Space Weather Prediction Center here. The problem is that the solar activity that has been prompting the Northern Lights is just not really going to be conducive to viewing this evening until much later. Let's see what the Space Weather Prediction Center is saying. Yeah, so these are general maps. We're in this yellow shaded region largely, it looks like. So we're really not going to see much this evening, so I won't read these maps and graphics and bore you guys, but yeah, we just are going to have varying intensity of geomagnetic storm activity, and so it's going to be very conditional as to when we can see the Northern Lights this evening. And obviously it's still light outside right now. These storms are about an hour or so ahead of kind of what we were expecting them to be. I was kind of leaning more towards 10 or even 11 p.m. before these storms arrived. And it's not just now 9 p.m. and they're already over mid-lake. So do now have another special weather statement in effect further east of the previous one. So this goes all the way to the border on the Milwaukee side of the lake. Let's take a look at the Milwaukee radar. And so we're talking about this line of showers and storms here, primarily this area, right in here. And this is transitioning off to the east. And so my assumption would be that they're warning this, or not warning this, but issuing this for some gusty winds. Yep, 50 miles an hour and half-inch hail even. So certainly something to watch as well as we continue to see convection develop through these areas here. And this Ludington storm is still showing quite a hail core there. Not saying that there's going to be large hail embedded in with that, but there certainly is some potential for some small to large hail, small to medium sized hail, maybe dime size or even nickel size in diameter for areas between Manistee and Ludington here in about the next 30 or 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and put a track on this. Ooh, not 358 miles an hour, that would be crazy. Yeah, about 35 minutes for Pinery Ridge, Ludington, and 38 minutes. So if you're anywhere in these communities here, just to the north of Ludington, east of Hamlin Lake, so Fountain, Free Soil, Scottville, Amber, you guys all need to be keeping an eye on this, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it with you as we go into the evening hours here. I want to stress that as we progress further into the night, the chances for severe weather are going to diminish even further as cooling, atmospheric cooling takes place as the sun goes away. So severe weather threat will slowly diminish as we go on with time this evening. So it might not have to be a long live stream, but it was a good way for us to test the live stream from our headquarters here and see what we can do, and if this is something you guys would appreciate going forward, especially when there may be a more widespread threat that we're not out chasing for. Again, I want to stress that this is not a replacement for live storm chasing. That is still very likely going to be a thing that we participate in. Owen and I both have a passion for storm chasing, getting out there and experiencing the beauty of weather. That weather often is. Weather is often beautiful. It's very rare that it is as destructive as it was this last Tuesday. Thankfully, that is the oddball out and not the norm. So we really appreciate getting out there and getting to witness the beauty of thunderstorms. And then, of course, like you all saw on Tuesday, when we do have impacts to life and property, we are there to help as well. So we enjoy both aspects of it. We enjoy the beauty of it more, and we don't like to see, of course we enjoy tornadoes, but we don't like to see people's lives impacted by them, and we certainly don't like being in them. So let's slow this down. Let's look at just 7 frames here. I want to just see how this Ludington storm is progressing. So it's changing shape a little bit, but it's also not really losing that hail core. Those reflectivity values are staying largely the same. We see some large area of red with some pinks and purples embedded within that. And as you can see up in the bar at the top of the screen there, that would be indicative of heavy rain to hail. And so we could, again, be looking at some small hail through here. Not really seeing any large hail potential as of yet, but of course we'll continue to watch this. And the other thing to note is that the Weather Service is obviously agreeing with this summary because they still do not have special marine warnings of any kind in effect for this storm. Looks very similar on the Grand Rapids radar site. Looks very similar on the Gaylord radar site. Milwaukee's probably a bit far away. Yeah, got a little bit of contamination there, but we'll continue to watch this. Again, if you guys have questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Happy to answer those questions. Again, once the storm moves on land, if you guys have storm reports, feel free to use the link that's in the chat there. I'll paste it occasionally. So that you guys can see that and submit reports as needed. Oh, okay, so we do now have a special marine warning in effect issued by the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids. This is in effect for the next hour and 24 minutes. So this is in effect until 10:30 p.m. And this is so for nearshore and open waters from Pentwater, Michigan to Manistee, Michigan. And this is for a strong thunderstorm located 14 nautical miles west of Big Sable Point Lighthouse, moving east at 30 knots. Hazard here is going to be wind gusts of 34 knots or greater and small hail. So we're looking at anywhere from pea-size hail all the way up through nickel-size hail with this special marine warning here. And again, this is in effect until 10:30 p.m. for nearshore and open waters of Lake Michigan from Pentwater to Manistee. And that's concerning this convection right here. It's transitioning to the east at 30 miles an hour. So we're going to continue to watch this, as this is our primary focus right now. This would prompt a special weather statement for these areas. I would think, unless it weakens, I would think they would issue a special weather statement here in the next 20 or so minutes. So Manistee, Ludington, Amber, Stronach, Sable, Peacock, Baldwin, and then anywhere in between any of those cities we just threw out, you guys are going to see a strong thunderstorm moving onshore from Lake Michigan here at about the next 30 minutes. So now is the time to wrap up your outdoor activities and be prepared to move indoors. Remember, if you're close enough to hear thunder, that you're close enough to be struck by lightning. So when thunder roars, go indoors. Go ahead and put a forecast cone on this very quickly here. And we actually have a better speed now because we have a warning. Alright, so this strong thunderstorm is going to be impacting Pinery Ridge in 31 minutes, Ludington in 34 minutes, Free Soil in 58 minutes, Fountain in an hour, and then points east, Millerton and Carr in the next 75 minutes or so. So we'll be continuing to watch this. Again, if you can hear thunder with this storm, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. So as soon as you hear thunder, take protective action and move indoors. Go ahead and turn the convective outlooks off. Convective outlooks off. Very quickly, we're going to move back to this storm here just to take a look at it. This is going to be about 2 hours away, 2.5 hours away yet, but I do want to keep an eye on it. Still not seeing anything more concerning than what they have that special weather statement in effect there to the south of Milwaukee and to the west of Kenosha, Wisconsin there. Yeah, so hydrometer classification still saying that this is hail embedded within this area of pink reflectivity here, and that's corresponding to this red shaded region. This is a computer algorithm that's essentially taking all of this reflectivity data and spitting out a value as to what it thinks it is. And this is saying that this is hail. It's not saying that it's large hail yet. And again, this is probably several thousand feet, maybe as much as 5,000 to 6,000 feet off the ground at this stage, because we're so far away from the radar site. Radar site's way over here in Grand Rapids. But nonetheless, we're definitely going to be seeing a strong thunderstorm move onshore just to the north of Ludington here in the next 30 or so minutes. Special marine warning in effect until 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, that's for that strong thunderstorm. Wind gusts of 34 knots or greater, which is about 40 miles per hour, and small hail would be the hazard with this storm. Again, what questions the community has, we're happy to answer. Go ahead and throw those in the comments. It could be about when the storms are going to be impacting you, or anything else related to the weather here this evening. Okay. We're watching this strong thunderstorm that's offshore of Ludington, Michigan, and Manistee, Michigan right now across the northern part of our coverage area. They've just issued a special marine warning for wind gusts of 34 knots, which is about 40 miles per hour, and then small hail. So anywhere from pea-size to nickel-size hail is what we're going to be watching for threats here. And again, I would anticipate that if this storm continues and does not show weakening trends here, we should see a special weather statement issued for these areas here in the next 10 or 15 minutes at this point. So areas to the east of M37 there and along US 10, you guys will be seeing this strong thunderstorm begin impacting you here in the next 30 or so minutes. Okay, yep, there it is. There is the special weather statement. So Ludington, Amber, Sable, Peacock, Baldwin, Chase, Free Soil, Fountain, Luther, areas along the US 10 corridor, especially to the east of M37. You guys are now under a special weather statement as a strong thunderstorm moves on shore here. Go ahead and take a look at this. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. So this special weather statement is for winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and nickel-size hail. Let me bring this down just a little bit for you guys. Locations impacted include Ludington, Fountain, Ludington State Park, Free Soil, Wolf Lake, Bristol, Sable Lakes, Big Star Lake, the Big Sable Point Lighthouse. Anyone out on the pier there, you guys need to go ahead and take cover inside a sturdy building. So seeking shelter inside a building is a recommended action here. Aside from the 40-mile-per-hour wind gust potential and the nickel-sized hail potential, we're also seeing lightning strikes continue with this storm. So remember that anyone who can hear thunder is close enough to be struck by lightning, even if it's not raining. That is an old wives' tale. If you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning, even if it is not raining. So as soon as you hear that first rumble of thunder, get indoors. Then again, anyone here in Ludington, Hamlin Lake, we'd love to get your storm reports that are coming out of this, for any storm reports that are coming out of this storm. So hail, wind, anything like that, we'd love to get those storm reports. Any storm-related damage, go ahead and use that link there in the comments. Zach Andrus, yes, so the tornado probability in general this evening, and especially with this storm here, is very low, less than 2% according to the Storm Prediction Center. Of course, we'll go ahead and take a look for anything like that. Close this out. Wait for the rest of my products to load. And we're not seeing anything in terms of tornado concerns. There's also no water spout tag associated with the special marine warning, so that's always good news. Yeah, the tornado potential this evening, just due to the lack of shear and lack of robust instability, is pretty much non-existent. Of course, we saw in Ohio yesterday, I believe, a tornado occur in a general thunderstorm risk. So those less than 2% areas can and occasionally do still produce tornadoes, so we always tell people to remain weather aware and have multiple ways to receive warnings, but the tornado possibility this evening appears very low. And again, I'm not seeing anything on radar that would indicate otherwise, but we'll continue to watch. Again, so we have a special marine warning from Pentwater to Manistee, Michigan, and then out to Mid-Lake, as well as a special weather statement for areas just to the south of Manistee and just to the north of Pentwater, and then all the way over to the US 131 corridor as a strong thunderstorm moves on shore. We're looking at the potential for nickel-sized hail and 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts through this area. So anyone in these purple or blue polygons here, go ahead and move indoors. Seek safe harbor. If you're out here on the lake, you've got about another 10 or 15 minutes tops to get into the harbors here in Ludington and Pentwater, Big Sable Point. As far north as Manistee, you maybe have 20 minutes here. Definitely get into those harbors, complete those boater safety checks. Make sure that you have all of your hatches closed. Make sure that you're anchored or tied down to a mooring post. Secure your vessel. Yeah, anyone out here at Ludington State Park, you guys need to be making your way off the beach at this point. We've got lightning very close to you guys, within 15 miles of Ludington State Park. So anyone out at the beach, you guys need to be moving back to your vehicles. Let the storm pass. Don't sit down there on the beach in the lightning storm. Just want to do another quick check of what's happening around us. Very good news. This hail core seems to be weakening a little bit. It's got less of those purple and pink colors, which is always good news. Also not seeing a ton of wind threat here. Let's take a look at this. We've got gusts to about 30 miles an hour there at about 5,000 feet, I would say. For anyone just joining, we are tracking a strong thunderstorm offshore of Ludington, Michigan. Just off to the just off to the north of the Ludington State Park area. It does appear to be weakening a little bit, but nonetheless, this is a strong thunderstorm that's going to be moving onshore here just to the north of Ludington here in the next 20 or so minutes. And we've got about 15 minutes before landfall here. So we need to continue to watch this area. Oops. Does appear to be weakening at this stage, but we're going to continue to watch this. Also want to keep an eye on the southern periphery of the storm here. It is not pronounced at all, but it is exhibiting some characteristics that maybe it does have an elevated mesocyclone. Not anything surface-based, no tornado concern at this point, but we will keep an eye on this storm, and even there it looks even less, looks much more blobby, that's a word, much more messy. There's not as much of that shape there to it, that curvature shape. It's much more of an angle now. So much more squared, which is good. Latest radar or velocity scan looks better too. A lot less concerning. Only seeing 30 mile an hour tops. So that's good. Regardless, if you're at Ludington State Park, if you're in downtown Ludington and Amber, you guys need to be making your way indoors as the storm is going to make landfall here in the next couple of minutes. Good news is that lightning intensity seems to be decreasing, which is good. Also another sign that the storm is weakening. Alright, so Hamlin Lake and Ludington State Park, here we go. The storm is about to impact your area, or is just now impacting the area. Yeah, that latest reflectivity scan looks way less concerning. I may even drop this special weather statement here. Again, as time goes on, these storms are moving into a much more stable environment than they have over here in Wisconsin and out over the lake. So they're moving into a much more stable environment that is becoming even more stable with time as the effects of the sun and the daytime heating go away now that the sun is setting or has set across West Michigan. We are still seeing lightning strikes here, so continue to remain indoors here if you're in Ludington. If you're at Ludington State Park, remain in your vehicle there until the storm has passed. Then our attention looks like it'll focus to the south as we watch these storms come across the lake. But we'll continue to watch this storm here. I would not be surprised to see them drop this special weather statement. Barely getting 25s out of this in terms of wind speeds. And at the very most, maybe we have some very small hail in here. Very small. At the very most. So, one caveat to this would be that the air above the surface is rather cold this evening. And so, anything that can get suspended into that colder air for a long enough amount of time would pose a increased hail threat as compared to the setups we normally see. So even though reflectivity may not look that super impressive, there may be some increased hail potential just due to that cold air aloft. But in general, this is going to have a hard time producing hail, I think. So, but nonetheless, if you're at Ludington State Park, and if you're getting any gusty winds or small hail, we'd love to hear about it. Go ahead and throw those in the comments of the video, of the stream. I'm going to quickly turn on buoys and see if there's any reports coming out of this buoy. Yeah, those haven't updated anytime recently, unfortunately. So good news for the Ludington area. The storm does continue to appear to be weakening. And again, I would anticipate that they will drop the special marine, or the special weather statement, excuse me, and they did just trim the special marine warning. Let's take a look at this. 34 knots or greater, which is about 40 miles an hour, and small hail. This is just for the near shore and open waters. It does not extend out to mid-lake anymore. So Okay. Yeah, this is really falling apart up here. Take a look to the south. Not really seeing anything there either. Yeah. Do want to take a look at this storm from the Gaylord radar site. So this is looking at this storm from a higher elevation. Again, we are seeing those increased reflectivity values here. Like I was saying, there's cooler air aloft, and so there may be some small hail remaining up above the surface that could fall down. So we'll just have to continue to watch this. Again, if you're in Ludington, near the Hamlin Lake area in Ludington State Park, if you've got any reports, we'd love to get those from you. There's a link in the comments there, in the live chat, that you can go ahead and use. We'll go ahead and post it again. We'd definitely love to get those reports. And we're still seeing some lightning strikes with this storm. So again, if you're at Ludington State Park, continue to remain sheltered there. Take a look at this quickly. So they've put a special weather statement. This is the Green Bay, Wisconsin county warning area. They've put a special weather statement on this whole area here for all these different clusters and groups of storms. And this is for 40 mile an hour and pea-sized hail, as well as torrential rainfall. And they're still saying that these storms could intensify, so they are certainly not ruling out the severe potential here across the slight risk area. And that's a level 2 out of 5 in this area here this evening. So they still could have some severe potential. This area across West Michigan is a much more stable environment. And as I've said already, this environment over here on this side of the lake is only going to continue to stabilize as the evening goes on, as we lose that surface heating. Any updates from these buoys? Nope. Was hoping we would be able to get a wind gust on one of those buoys there on the Ludington shoreline, but that does not appear that it's going to be the case. Oops. Again, biggest threat with this storm as of right now that I'm seeing is going to be lightning and maybe some heavy rain. Not seeing anything in terms of wind potential, if I'm being honest. We're seeing 15 mile an hour, maybe as much as 20, perhaps 25 miles per hour there. Then in terms of hail potential, not really seeing anything above, of course, as I say that, there is a 51 there. But again, that honestly, 51 dBz is going to be heavy rain as compared to pea-sized hail, so maybe a shorter stream. Because if this storm performs this way, I would have to imagine that the other storms are going to perform this way. Let's take a look at the SPC meso-analysis quickly. I had that bookmarked at one point. Okay, anyway, sorry. Yeah, so this is CAPE, or convective available potential energy, and this is what storms use to feed on, in layman's terms. That's a simple definition. We're not really seeing much of anything. We do see an area here across Wisconsin on the other side of the lake that again has some increased instability, these blue shaded areas, but there is not much of any instability here across the northern portion of West Michigan. So, but of course we'll continue to watch for a few more minutes. I really thought they would drop that special weather statement up there, and they didn't, so I want to stay here while that special weather statement remains in effect. So we'll continue to watch that. The latest day one convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center actually drops that slight risk up there across northern Wisconsin. So as you can see, that's been trimmed, and they've also dropped that yellow slight risk level 2 out of 5 area up there. So we just are now left with this marginal risk for isolated, weak, severe weather across the northwestern half of our coverage area this evening. But again, that threat is going to slowly diminish as we go through the evening and into the overnight hours. Airplane King 08, welcome to the West Michigan Weather Discord server. For anyone that would like to join the West Michigan Weather Discord server, you can do so at discord.gg/WMIWX. And as well as all of our other social media links are available at www.westmichiganweather.net. Not seeing any concerns in velocity there. Oops. Yeah, and the amount of the height of these storms is also decreasing, which is a sign that their updrafts are weakening and that the storm is likely dying. And that would very much coincide with the reflectivity presentation as well as the SPC mesoanalysis of the area. There's not any energy to sustain those updrafts. There's not any shear to speak of that can compensate for the lack of instability, and so really not seeing storms intensify or sustain themselves very well. Just out of curiosity, where is that cold front? That cold front is starting to sag south. This would be the analysis, the surface analysis from 8 p.m. I believe. So it is starting to sag south, and that's what's driving this band of convection out ahead of that cold front. This band of convection here is driving eastward, being driven eastward by that cold front, I should say. That storm's really weakening. Also, haven't seen a lightning strike here. Actually, there is one there in Ludington. Right there. In the last minute to 5 minutes is what that white plus mark indicates. But again, not much lightning with this, and reflectivity is weakening quite substantially. Let's take a look at these storms here. Not seeing anything of concern there. Those are already pretty weak and will continue to weaken, I have to imagine. I haven't seen any lightning strikes on these storms in the last half hour. Alright, so the special marine warning has been canceled for the nearshore and open waters of Pentwater to Manistee. So that special marine warning has been canceled that was previously in effect there. Update from the Weather Service there. Take a look at this latest area forecast discussion from the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids. Whoops. So, a few thunderstorms have moved out of Wisconsin and across Lake Michigan. First of these storms just arrived on shore near Ludington. Small hail and gusty winds are the main concerns with some of the stronger storms this evening. So again, not really seeing very strong language from the Weather Service office in Grand Rapids. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Not seeing very strong language from the Weather Service in Grand Rapids concerning the threat for hazardous weather this evening. Of course, that risk remains. Haven't seen any new Twitter posts from them. And I would expect that this special weather statement would be canceled here in the next little bit. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze there. I believe I just showed the dashboard because I was clicking so many buttons trying to get myself muted. My Stream Deck hasn't come in yet. Again, this is just something new we're trying. And yeah, this is really looking unimpressive. It's very similar there. This looks pretty messy as well. Not seeing much lightning either. I also haven't seen any reports come in from the Ludington area. Either to us or to the National Weather Service. How much longer is this in effect for? This expires 9:13 p.m. I'm sorry, nope, that was when it was issued. So this is in effect for the next hour and a half, essentially. Hazardous weather outlook. Yeah, not really seeing anything there. Okay, so for fun, while we keep an eye on this, let's take a look at what else may be coming our way this week. Have multiple chances for showers and storms this week. So this is tonight. Plenty of rain tomorrow. Maybe some rain south of I-96 on Tuesday. More rain Thursday. So this is how we forecast severe weather, as well as winter weather when we're doing school closing outlooks in the winter time. So this is how we forecast severe weather. This is how that process starts, where we're looking at these global models, as well as some of the regional models occasionally, and then as an event draws nearer, we'll start looking at ensembles and convective allowing models. But this is how we start looking for severe weather potential. This is a supercell composite, so this is just compiling the probability of a supercell based on different atmospheric parameters. Generally anything in blue really starts to pique our interest. Those darker gray colors we also look at, but anything that is above a 5, which turns blue, we certainly take a look at. The good news is, depending on if you like severe weather or not really seeing anything until the end of the month, which is good because we need a break after this last week. In fact, the whole country needs a break after last week, to be honest. So it looks like the 26th into the 27th may be next day. Again, not making a forecast at this point whatsoever, but it looks like that might be our next threat day off just by looking at one model there. One run of one model. But it gave us something to do because nothing is really happening with this, and this is looking pretty unimpressive. Let's look at this with the Milwaukee radar site. Yeah, pretty unimpressive. So again, I think I'm going to wrap up here. I'll jump back in. I'll start a new stream if we get some other type of thunderstorm potential starting to ramp back up. But I want to stress that this is not the new alternative to storm chasing for West Michigan weather. We are very much still wanting to storm chase. There are no definitive plans to stop storm chasing. Again, Owen and I haven't really gotten to talk face to face. We've been playing phone tag since last Tuesday with our intercept, or my intercept, unintentional intercept of that tornado in Portage. A lot of things got brought into light for us. Again, following that event. And of course, we're always striving to provide the best ground truth coverage that we can for the people in the path of dangerous storms. But of course, we want to do that safely and take steps to avoid some of the things that led to that intercept of that tornado down there in Portage last Tuesday. So we unfortunately saw quite a bit of damage all through this area here as a result of that tornado. And obviously, for those of you who have seen that video, I was overtaken by the tornado down there. So we have a lot to talk about. We've been talking to meteorologists and other storm chasers, and this phrase that keeps coming back to me personally, I said this at the beginning of the stream, is that phrase from Dr. Reed Timmer, who is a very famous storm chaser. And he always says, never stop chasing. So that's kind of where I'm at. Of course, we'll be providing all of you, our audience, with updates as the week goes on. And into next week probably even, we'll have even more updates. And we'll go from there. Like I said, this is not the new normal. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this stream because it doesn't really look like anything's happening. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning, so head indoors. Other than that, we might be looking at some small hail potential, some gusty wind potential through the rest of the evening, through about 2 a.m. But this looks rather unconvincing. And the SBC meso-analysis is even more unconvincing. So stay weather aware this evening, but looks like we should be in the clear for the remainder of the evening, but we'll continue to monitor and jump back on a live stream if we need to. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know what you think about this down in the comments, and we'll see you guys later this week with all of our updates.